In episode 233 of Swallowed Star, Luo Feng comprehended the legacy of an ancient civilization and finally broke through the bottleneck that had restrained him for so long. Meanwhile, the giant axe founder finally arrived on the battlefield, unleashed the full power of his divine axe, and brutally overwhelmed two true lords of the Divine Eye clan. No one could have imagined that while Luo Feng and his teacher, Sitting Mountain Guest, were searching for the final two scales of the mad demon god-destroying armor, they would accidentally enter the ruins of an ancient civilization that had remained sealed for countless ages. This hidden island had been completely isolated from the outside world and concealed a supreme inheritance. It not only allowed Luo Feng to overcome his long-standing bottleneck in the School of Secret Engravings, but also indirectly triggered a peak battle involving the strongest beings from three major powers of the universe ocean. The moment Luo Feng followed Sitting Mountain Guest onto the island, he was deeply shaken by everything before him. He immediately concluded that the ruins belonged to a top-tier ancient civilization that far surpassed every race and faction of the present era. Sitting Mountain Guest's emotional explanation also exposed the truth behind the inheritances of the universe ocean's greatest powers. The Divine Eye clan and the two Holy Land universes appeared to possess profound foundations and overwhelming dominance, yet all of them had risen by relying on inheritances obtained from ancient ruins. The combined secret techniques of the Divine Eye clan's 7 true lords, along with the unique cultivation systems and combat styles of the two Holy Lands, had all originated from fragmented legacies left behind by ancient civilizations. None of these factions had truly created an original supreme path of their own. Even Sitting Mountain Guest's unmatched ability to refine supreme treasures had not been something he was born with. It was the result of extraordinary opportunities combined with endless years of study and comprehension. This also explained why the powerful beings of the current era could never surpass the existences of antiquity. Everyone was merely collecting the scraps left behind by ancient civilizations. No one had managed to forge an entirely new supreme path. After venturing deeper into the palace, Luo Feng and Sitting Mountain Guest finally discovered the most important, and most tragic, secret hidden within the ruins. A massive stone wall was covered in countless mysterious ancient characters. These words shared the same origin as the language used by universe supreme treasures to transmit information, and each character carried an intense resonance of will. Every line was filled with rage, unwillingness, sorrow, and regret. Again and again, the inscriptions expressed the same despairing message. Even after breaking through, death remained unavoidable. The ancient expert who had left these words behind had exhausted his entire life pursuing a higher realm and creating an unrivaled supreme technique. He had believed that his breakthrough would allow him to escape the restraints of reincarnation. In the end, however, he had still been unable to avoid death. Every sacrifice he had made had ultimately come to nothing. All he could do was leave his grief carved across the wall as a warning to the cultivators who would come after him. The reason Sitting Mountain Guest felt such profound sorrow after reading the inscriptions was that he immediately recognized the terrifying level of the ancient expert who had written them. That mysterious existence had been far stronger than every universe strongest of the current era. Even the human race's primal ancestor, the Divine Eye clan's first true lord, and the ancestors of the two Holy Lands might not have been his equals. Yet even a heaven-defying existence of that level had failed to withstand the final limit of reincarnation. He had still been unable to escape his destined fall. That was why Sitting Mountain Guest lamented that even the top races currently dominating the universe ocean were insignificant before the endless passage of reincarnation eras. After tens of thousands of reincarnation eras, most of them would probably disappear completely. Only an extremely small number of factions would survive. However, when confronted with the chains of fate imposed by endless reincarnation, Luo Feng's resolve only became firmer. He had cultivated for little more than 100,000 years. Compared to a reincarnation era that could last for billions or even trillions of years, his cultivation time was no more than the blink of an eye. Yet he had already entered the level of a universe master and possessed 3 supreme treasures: the Star Tower, the Mad Demon God-destroying armor, and the Sure Wu wings. His future still contained limitless possibilities. Since an ancient expert had once defied the heavens, broken through, and created a supreme path, there was no reason Luo Feng could not forge a new road that transcended reincarnation. The teacher and disciple continued exploring until they finally discovered the ruined supreme inheritance within the courtyard of the central palace. Before them stood a gigantic stone wall engraved with billions upon billions of microscopic secret patterns. Countless intricate engravings crossed and intertwined with one another, penetrating both the surface and the interior of the stone wall. Together, they formed a complete three-dimensional world of secret patterns. Simply looking at it allowed Luo Feng to feel the boundless pressure of a supreme path. Rather than attempting to comprehend the entire stone wall at once, Luo Feng calmly focused on a tiny section that made up less than 1/10,000th of the whole. He understood that the pursuit of a supreme path had to progress step by step. Only by fully comprehending the most fundamental microscopic engravings could he gradually deduce the principles of the complete inheritance. Even the patterns contained within that tiny corner were still extraordinarily profound. Luo Feng became completely absorbed in studying them. Before he realized it, 3 full days and nights had passed. When he finally regained awareness of his surroundings, his understanding had undergone a dramatic transformation. The bottleneck that had trapped him at the universe venerable level of the secret engraving school had finally begun to loosen. For the first time, he had touched the threshold of the secret engraving path at the universe master level. He had reached an opportunity for a truly critical breakthrough. Seeing Luo Feng's extraordinary talent and deep connection with this inheritance, Sitting Mountain Guest decided to help him further. From the supreme engraving system on the stone wall, he comprehended and extracted 5 fundamental secret engraving diagrams. Although these 5 diagrams contained only 1/1000th of the power of the complete ancient technique, they still surpassed every known secret engraving system in the current universe ocean. They were the perfect foundation from which Luo Feng could advance. With these 5 fundamental diagrams as his base, Luo Feng's future comprehension of the complete ancient inheritance would become far more efficient. He would be able to overcome his bottlenecks more easily, eliminate the weaknesses in his secret techniques, and achieve an enormous leap in combat power. Just as Luo Feng was preparing to enter secluded cultivation and devote himself fully to the inheritance, Sitting Mountain Guest sensed violent spatial fluctuations and deafening energy explosions coming from the outside world. He immediately determined that universe's strongest experts were fighting directly within the abyss. Battles at the level of universe's strongest beings were unimaginably destructive. Their energy fluctuations were powerful enough to shake the entire 9th abyss. Ordinary experts could not even approach such a battlefield, much less observe it safely. Only a top-tier lone expert like Sitting Mountain Guest could watch from a distance without placing himself in danger. To broaden Luo Feng's understanding of supreme-level combat and help him accumulate valuable battle experience, Sitting Mountain Guest immediately stopped his cultivation and took him toward the battlefield. Luo Feng had no intention of wasting the priceless opportunity he had discovered within the ruins. Before leaving, he created an avatar of divine power and left it behind on the island to continue studying the secret engraving inheritance. The avatar did not need to participate in battle or respond to any outside crisis. The island was also completely secure and free from interruption, making it the perfect place for uninterrupted cultivation. His true body could leave to observe the battle, while his divine power avatar remained behind to cultivate. By progressing along both paths simultaneously, Luo Feng could continue strengthening himself without wasting any time. This was an ability that only experts at the universe venerable level and above could properly use. Compared to undying warriors, universe venerables possess much denser divine power and far more stable consciousness. Even after separating an avatar, they could maintain a complete state of cultivation. Luo Feng and Sitting Mountain Guest boarded Sitting Mountain Peak and began traveling at full speed, completely unafraid of any danger within the abyss. Their speed rapidly climbed to 100,000 times the speed of light. They tore directly through space and ignored the restrictions of the surrounding laws. At first, Luo Feng worried that traveling at such an extreme speed would produce tremendous energy fluctuations, reveal their location, and attract the attention of powerful enemies. Sitting Mountain Guest, however, showed no concern whatsoever. His strength and methods placed him far beyond ordinary experts. Across the entire universe ocean, only a handful of beings would dare provoke him intentionally. He had no reason to fear any universe strongest. That confidence belonged exclusively to a supreme lone expert who stood at the peak of the universe ocean. During their journey, Sitting Mountain Guest even brought out a treasured wine from the second reincarnation era. Teacher and disciple calmly drank together while waiting to reach the battlefield. Their relaxed attitude stood in complete contrast to the tense and desperate experts currently involved in the conflict. When they reached the outer edge of the battlefield, Luo Feng looked into the distance and immediately saw 3 supreme-level combatants confronting one another. A chaotic battle between universe's strongest experts, one capable of overturning everything Luo Feng understood about combat, was unfolding before his eyes. The battle was not a deadly confrontation between the human race and the Divine Eye clan, as Luo Feng had initially feared. Instead, the 3rd and 6th true lords of the Divine Eye clan were surrounding Golden Radiance Demon God, the universe's strongest of the dream-eroding clan. The auras of the 3 supreme beings crushed the entire surrounding void. The laws had completely stagnated. The abyss's violent currents and scorching streams of molten rock had all retreated beneath their pressure. This alone demonstrated the terrifying might of universe's strongest experts. On the surface, the Divine Eye clan claimed that Golden Radiance Demon God had taken the Mad Demon God destroying armor, and the Silver Wings lost by 5 Chaos Master. In reality, however, the Divine Eye clan was deliberately displaying its power, and using him as an example to intimidate the other factions. The Divine Eye clan belonged to the first reincarnation era, and was approaching the final limit of its existence. The survival of the entire race was in danger. It urgently needed to crush and intimidate other great factions in order to preserve its position as one of the overlords of the universe ocean. 2 near-supreme treasures were insignificant to the Divine Eye clan, which possessed an enormous foundation accumulated over countless years. Its true objective was to use this opportunity to suppress another race, display its divine might, and silence every faction that had mocked the Divine Eye clan's previous failures. Golden Radiance Demon God dared to resist the 2 true lords because his own power was extraordinary. He also possessed the Blackstone Temple, a palace-type supreme true treasure capable of withstanding the combined attacks of both true lords. With the temple protecting him, he could remain undefeated. As the only universe strongest of the dream-eroding clan in the second reincarnation era, Golden Radiance Demon God's true body could transform into a golden beast with 13 tentacles. He could also divide himself into 13 separate bodies. His combat methods were unpredictable and constantly changing, granting him powerful offensive and defensive abilities. Even when the Divine Eye clan's 2 true lords attacked with their full strength, they could not break through the defenses of his supreme true treasure. The battle had therefore fallen into a prolonged stalemate. The 2 true lords refused to retreat because they were not fighting alone. The Divine Eye clan's remaining true lords were already rushing toward the battlefield at full speed. Once 4 true lords gathered, they would be able to unleash the Divine Eye clan's inherited combined technique and forcibly seal Golden Radiance Demon God, even with his supreme treasure protecting him. Golden Radiance Demon God understood perfectly well that the longer the confrontation continued, the more dangerous his situation would become. However, his personality was proud and unruly. He refused to endure the Divine Eye clan's humiliation and oppression without resisting. He could only remain where he was and continue holding out against them. As the 3 sides remained locked in their stalemate, a 4th universe strongest suddenly entered the battlefield. It was the Giant Axe founder of the human race, who had traveled here from the Tilted Peak sector at maximum speed. The Giant Axe founder's arrival instantly shattered the balance and caused the already tense situation to escalate dramatically. The 3rd and 6th true lords immediately changed their target. They abandoned their efforts to surround Golden Radiance Demon God and directed all their killing intent toward the Giant Axe founder. In their eyes, Golden Radiance Demon God possessed a supreme true treasure and would be extremely difficult to kill. The Giant Axe founder, however, appeared to be the weakest target. According to outside rumors, he did not possess a supreme true treasure. The Divine Eye clan believed he would be easy to suppress. By killing the human race's only supreme expert, they could display their strength and intimidate every faction in the universe ocean. The arrogance of the 2 true lords completely ignited the Giant Axe founder's fighting spirit. The Divine Eye clan possessed a profound foundation in 7 universe strongest experts, so its members had always looked down on the human race of the primal universe. This time they openly declared their intention to kill the giant axe founder and destroy the human race. They had finally crossed his bottom line. The giant axe founder had always followed the example of the ancient primal ancestor and carried the ambition to dominate the universe ocean. Since the Divine Eye clan wanted to use him to display its power, he would confront its two true lords directly, establish the prestige of the human race, and restore the dignity of the primal universe. Once the battle erupted, the two true lords stopped holding back and unleashed the supreme techniques they had inherited from an ancient civilization. The third true lord activated the Stars Kingdom, a domain-type supreme true treasure. Billions of stars appeared and sealed the entire void. The sixth true lord activated the Emerald Eye Light, a soul-type supreme true treasure that carried an almost unstoppable spiritual assault. By combining the power of their two supreme true treasures with their ancient secret technique, the two true lords created an enormous beast with 9 heads, 36 wings, and 108 claws. It was known as the Eternal True God. This Eternal True God perfectly reproduced the ancient concept of all living beings bowing before a supreme existence. Its physical attacks, defenses, spatial suppression, and soul-destroying power were completely integrated. Its pressure covered the entire battlefield. Even Golden Radiant's demon god became wary and did not dare act recklessly. The two true lords were overflowing with confidence. They believed the giant axe founder, who supposedly possessed no supreme true treasure, would undoubtedly die. After all, this was their ultimate killing technique, created by combining two supreme true treasures with an ancient inheritance. Across the entire universe ocean, very few experts could withstand it directly. However, no one had expected the giant axe founder to have concealed his true strength for so long. Facing the eternal true God that dominated the battlefield, the giant axe founder raised his hand and summoned his supreme divine axe, overturning everything the observers thought they knew about him. He had already obtained a top-tier offensive supreme true treasure. He had simply never revealed it. Now that the two true lords had forced him into a dangerous situation, the giant axe founder finally exposed his hidden trump card and confronted the Divine Eye clan's ultimate attack head-on. The giant axe founder's mastery of axe techniques stood at the absolute peak of the human race. He consecutively unleashed his 12th and 13th axe techniques, 12 and then 13 enormous axe projections, each extending for hundreds of millions of kilometers, covered the heavens. They tore apart the frozen void and violently struck the eternal true God. During the extreme collision, the supposedly unstoppable eternal true God was actually forced backward. The two true lords were completely shocked. They finally realized that the human race's supreme expert was not a weak target they could manipulate at will. He was a top-tier existence capable of matching any universe strongest. Thoroughly enraged, the two true lords abandoned all restraint. The third true lord activated his second supreme true treasure, the Star Hand. With 3 supreme true treasures simultaneously empowering it, the eternal true God transformed once again. Its physical armor, claws, combat power, and soul pressure all increased dramatically, pushing its strength to the absolute peak. Yet even when facing this enhanced killing technique, the giant axe founder remained calm. In the middle of battle, he successively created the completely new 14th and 15th axe techniques. The moment his 15th axe appeared, it shattered the restraints of dimensional space. The projection of the axe transcended the present dimension and descended from an entirely different level of reality. Without producing the slightest sound, it destroyed the eternal true God. The strike forcibly separated the combined form created by the 3 supreme true treasures and completely broke the ultimate technique of the Divine Eye clan's 2 true lords. Every universe strongest present fell into stunned silence. Even Sitting Mountain Guest was shocked. He openly declared that the giant axe founder had already touched the threshold of the primal ancestors' level. The human race might soon give birth to another supreme existence capable of dominating the entire universe ocean. From the appearance of the ancient secret engraving inheritance to the peak battle between 5 universe strongest experts, every part of the Ninth Abyss incident exposed the hidden truth behind the power structure of the universe ocean. The Divine Eye clan appeared invincible because of its profound foundation and ancient inheritances. In reality, its experts merely copied incomplete techniques, refused to advance beyond what their predecessors had left behind, and relied on ancient foundations to dominate others. In the end, such a faction would never escape the fate imposed by reincarnation. Golden Radiant's demon god possessed extraordinary power and a supreme true treasure. Yet he stood alone without allies. Once surrounded, even he was forced to experience the helplessness of a lone supreme expert. Only the giant axe founder and Luo Feng had begun walking paths that truly belonged to them. Luo Feng relied on his own talent in secret engravings to transform a broken ancient inheritance into an opportunity for self-improvement, overcoming the bottleneck that had restrained him. The giant axe founder devoted himself to studying the axe and creating his own techniques. When he finally revealed his full strength, he did not depend on the foundation of a powerful race, or on blindly copying fragments of an ancient inheritance. He relied entirely on his own combat power to establish himself as a supreme expert. Through this battle, he secured the human race's position within the universe ocean, and completely freed humanity from its previous state of weakness. In this confrontation between the greatest powers of the universe ocean, the human race firmly seized the advantage. The Divine Eye clan's arrogant attempt to display its strength became a complete joke. Not only had it failed to intimidate the other races, but it had also exposed the weaknesses hidden beneath its seemingly overwhelming foundation, planting the seeds for its eventual decline.